What is up, everybody? I am joined by an esteemed panel of guests who all have hopefully slightly varying, but certainly public opinions. And we are all joined together at this point to talk about the PokerGo high stakes poker live stream cash game that went off last night. There was a lot of speculation before about what a sort of interesting, dramatic, and controversial lineup this was expected to be. And I think that no one was certain how things would play out. And we've seen it play out. The poker community has reacted. And we brought these amazing guests together, which I'm not even going to go through the time of explaining who everyone is. I think everyone should be able to. If you don't know who someone is, feel free to just go ahead and give them a Google. These are all very accomplished players and personalities in poker. So first I'm going to I want to just guide you guys to, I'll give you like, hey, this person, can you start this out for us? Can you kick this off? And we'll just go through the panel and get just to kick it off. Garry, since you're the first one on my right, can you just give me your initial thoughts about what happened last night?
Yeah, I mean, I think my biggest takeaway, I couldn't turn away from the coverage. I guess I was kind of glued to this train wreck, if you will, in a good way almost. I think that a lot of people were left asking the question and talking about today, like, was this good for poker? And the answers have been varying across the spectrum. I feel like I think, from an operator, I guess I'm in a unique position where I've been on the corporate side also as a player. And I think from one perspective, the fact that PokerGo was able to take the hottest, drama in the industry right now and serve it up on a platter for us in a short amount of time with all the right characters was amazing. And their ability to do that, I think, is a credit to the growth of the game and a positive step in that direction. What happened in the game, I guess, is a topic for another conversation and this conversation. And I think I was left with an interesting taste in my mouth. Like, there were times where, I was impressed with Berkey's ability to just sit there and take everything and, in an impossible situation, sandwiched between two people that have been vocally, anti-Berkey for the last several weeks. I think, watching Nik get hammered and drink 11 plus wines by my count, and what happened after that was intriguing in of itself. But I don't know who's left or right of me here, but I'll kick it over to the next, maybe Faraz. Give us your instant reaction.
Yeah, I mean, the thing I'm super torn between is I personally don't find that very entertaining. And I actually reached out to my community of students before we jumped on this call to just ask what was their opinion. And around the clock, they all hated it. They're like, I can't watch this anymore. Like, this is not interesting to me. It's bad for poker. But clearly, the views were through the roof. And there's this back and forth on like, well, a bunch of people actually did like this. They're watching it. So I guess the thing that I'm wondering is who are these people that like it? Am I just in a bubble? Or are these people that aren't really that valuable to the poker community? Are these the people that are gonna come and play on these games? The thing that really concerned me is like the Jennifer Tilly hand where she had the ace queen and she's like, I kind of want to fold, but I don't want you guys to laugh at me like the way you've been laughing at everyone else. That really bothers me because I think there's a lot, like someone like Jennifer Tilly is very valuable to these shows. Anyone who's not a professional is willing to put their money up and play. And you want to make sure you have inviting, comfortable atmosphere for these people. I do feel like a lot of the people in my community I were talking to are the types of people that would come play on the show, and now they're very turned off from it. So that's something that I'm concerned about.
They would come play in high stakes poker, and they wouldn't come now because that's
yeah, absolutely. Like I think crazy, like bro. It's intimidating, and you don't want to be laughed at. You don't want to be made fun of. And it kind of has that kind of bullying atmosphere. But at the same time, like, there's a lot of people that did love this. So I think this is just an opportunity for different types of shows that appeal to different types of people. you know, I was talking to my wife earlier about this. She was like, some people love Jersey Shore. I don't love Jersey Shore. Like, you know, that there could be two, you know, different atmospheres for these types of games.
You know, I think
Okay,
the
so
world.
I'm just taking notes. There's lots of things to circle back to, but let's just like stick with first impressions, right? To go. I think Joey, clearly you've got maybe a slightly different first impression.
Yeah.
Let's get it.
And these guys are so dramatic with all these people on Twitter, the players in the game, everybody into the dramaticism right now. It seems like poker really changing. I don't know. I'm trying to like really adjust to, you know, because I make a lot of content. I talk about what's happening, playing games. I know all these people. I would say that that show last night was very accurate for what I know the high stakes poker world in Vegas to be right now in these private game world. There's like these new personalities, a lot of new players mixing it up. You got like the next generation of young guys coming in, these LA guys. These guys are getting a lot of attention now. So it's like the Vegas scene is kind of merging a lot with the LA scene, and that's sort of merging a lot now with the live stream games. And now you have all these live streams that are starting up, and PokerGo, you know, they're trying to capitalize on the drama now because they got more competition from these other streams. You got Hustler making a stream, you got the Lodge having a stream, you got the new Tropicana stream coming here, you got the new studio coming here in Vegas. So, you know, PokerGo is reacting to that, and they want to capture the attention. They want to capture some of the drama. They see people want to see Berkey and Airball showdown, so they put this show on there together. And then you get all these people on Twitter. Now they're all upset. They're saying, "Who wants to watch this?" And you know, listen, I probably wouldn't watch that whole stream last night unless I'm getting paid. So, you know, my thing I'm doing now, or my business or my job, is to talk about what's happening in poker, know what's happening in poker. So I'm going to watch things like that because they're interesting and they're very relevant to what people are saying and future of poker content and future of poker games and the high stakes poker world and all that kind of stuff like that. But, you know, that's personally me, not the kind of poker I want to see. I don't want to really see like, I mean, I when I was doing commentary at the Lodge, some of these lineups we'd have, it would just be everybody was talking the entire time. Some people like that kind of stuff. Me personally, not really what I'm a fan of. I like other kind of content. I usually not watching a 6-hour live stream in general. So I might watch the hands or might watch the highlights. So there's a lot of different consumers of poker content out there who aren't just watching live streams, who aren't just watching hands, who probably don't even watch most of these shows, to be honest with you. They just get their opinion from the news. They get their opinion from Twitter, get their opinion from YouTube comments. So, you know, kind of like Faraz saying, there's so many different kinds of content. And if you don't like it, I always say, right, you should make now I'm thinking, right, do it yourself. Like, do the show yourself, do the game yourself, step up, take ownership, take control of it, and, you know, put on the game that you want to see or put on the show you want to see. But obviously, a lot of people out there like to give their feedback, like to give their opinion. You know, they want to see different kind of shows. They don't want to see people that think are bullies being celebrated, put on a pedestal, being shown to 13,000 people watching in a live stream. So I see why people are upset about it. But you know, it's really just another day, right? We've been having these conversations for a long time, a lot of debate back and forth for a long time. And I think it's good to get all the fans' opinion out there too. So, I mean, I could talk a lot about this topic. So I saw people
Dude, we're getting
Really,
there.
you know,
I can see how you,
Josh over there.
I can see how you're able to do 9 and 12-hour investigation videos now. I have a few opinions from different angles. Like, from the operator's perspective, it's a great foundation. You're wasting the greatest announcer in all of poker. Like, you're completely wasting Nik's talents. There was a few times where, like, he finally got to say, there was a hand when Rob Young had ace jack, and like, in my head, I'm sitting here, do I call, what would I do here? And like, a thought that never came to my mind is like, well, I have ace jack, I block ace king, I block aces, and so that's going to make me lean towards calling. So you're wasting just amazing analyzation by Nik with all the table talk. So I think it's a great foundation that they're going to be able to build from, and I don't think they need Nik for this because there's enough table talk. But it's a different audience. There's audiences of poker that watch these high level players and they're logging hands and they're looking at it and they're wondering, and then they chat about it and talk about it and put it in groups. But this is for a different audience. This is almost like, I compared it on Twitter to, like, this is WWE, what some people like UFC and like boxing. And there's a huge audience. I mean, WWE might be bigger than the UFC and is bigger than boxing. So it's a different product that can definitely be fine-tuned. I can't stand all the cackling in the background and everybody. It seemed very similar to high school drama, but they knew it was there. They knew they did it on purpose. But once it gets fine-tuned, this kind of poker content is going to be here to stay. And the more studying online becomes available, people aren't going to need these experts and to watch these hands to study. They want entertainment. They don't want information. So it's a good starting point for PokerGo, who's obviously the best producer of poker, the best producer of poker content, in my opinion. And they have a lot of smart people there that will evolve from this first episode and continue to put out a better and better product.
Ryan?
Yeah, I think Josh makes a great comparison with UFC and WWE. Personally, I enjoy the UFC type of poker shows, but I'm very immersed in the game of poker. I think this WWE style could be great for the game. It could bring a lot of new people to our game, which is always a good thing. I think what happened last night is that you've got all these people, keyboard warriors battling on Twitter, and you've got all the makings for this fun, drama-filled game of poker. But when you get all those people together in front of each other in person, it's more awkward than it is drama. Because now you're sitting right next to the person that you've been talking shit to online, and I mean, the person could punch you in the mouth. Who knows? Like, no one's as tough as they are in person, compared to behind a keyboard. So I think that's what happened last night, and everyone was like a little nervous, which caused the awkward fake laughter at jokes that weren't funny, and that's what was unbearable for me. I just watched the first hour. I went to the night's game, came home, and watched the last 30 minutes or so.
I definitely feel like. Sorry, go ahead, Ryan.
I'm curious, how everyone was talking about how awful it was, how unbearable it was, but I'm curious what PokerGo's numbers were, because it seems like they have more people watching than ever.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point.
I feel like a lot of people are really annoyed from seeing the Twitter banter all week, and they're kind of biased from that carried over to the TV show. And them being so annoyed at watching this TV is really them being annoyed at seeing all the Twitter back and forth all week.
Tom, go ahead. Let me hear your first impressions.
So I think the word is polarizing, right? I mean, this is a show where people are going to love it or people are going to hate it. And I think PokerGo did a good job of trying to bring some of that social media drama into real life. But at the end of the day, when you think about it, that's what you want. You want polarizing content. You want people talking about the content. That's what brings the eyeballs. Did I love it or hate it? I don't know. But here's what I do know. I knew that there were 3 people that night, Matt Berkey, Jennifer Tilly, and Rob Young, who further proved their authenticity and their class. And there were a few other people at the table that further proved they aren't necessarily full of class and authenticity. And I say that not in a biased way, but in a real way, because that's a lot of the feedback that's been happening, right? So do I think it's good for poker? Do I think it's bad for poker? I think it's up to the individual, but that type of polarizing content sells. And I think it allows the best and brightest in our industry, when they're in those situations, to further prove why they are just that.
So one of the conversations, it seems, or one of the words, right, that seems to keep coming up is this concept of bullying, or are we glorifying bullying in some way? And I'm curious your guys' perspective, because I do think you make a good point in that you say, okay, Jennifer acted the way we would expect her to act. Presumably maybe Berkey acted the way we would expect him to act. I don't know Nick Airball and I don't watch a ton of Hustler Casino Live, but my guess would be was exactly what he was expected to do also, right? He's playing, if we go with the WWE model, he's the heel. He's coming in and being the heel that everyone would expect him to be. Do you think this is bullying, or do you think this is him being the character that everyone is expecting him to be? I'll start with Josh this time. We'll just go south.
I think that whoever plays in that game is fully aware of the situation. If somebody was blindsided by his behavior, then I would say that's bullying. But Berkey knew exactly what he was getting into, and the guy just looks like a complete idiot. I mean, I've seen a lot of people drink a lot of wine, and I've never seen anything like that. I mean, he was chugging like a half a bottle of wine at a time. But yeah, I don't think that they're glorifying bullying. I think that, when people get put in front of a camera, they just look, a lot of their character comes out, and unfortunately the guy is just an absolute fucking goofball. I mean, he's just, I don't know. It's just a long time ago when I was coming up in poker and gambling, one of my mentors was this guy that was like a halfway cheater. And he was a mentor in my way because I always knew what I didn't want to be and what I didn't want to do. And this is a perfect example of that. Like, you see somebody act like this and you realize, don't fucking be an idiot. Like, don't be this guy. And but as far as bullying, no, I don't think that they're harboring it or they're, glorifying it. There's always going to be people. I mean, they come and go. This guy's going to be gone from poker in 3 years. I don't care how much money he has. He's going to get into a spot where he's going to challenge Phil Ivey, and Phil Ivey's going to tell him, yeah, well, let's put 20 million on the table. And the guy's going to be gone for good. I promise. It's happened 1,000,000 times.
Faraz, I'm curious because you brought up even this sort of idea of bullying, but in a slightly different way, right? As it pertains to Jennifer Tilly and the idea of being judged basically by your poker peers for your decisions you're making or for the streams. What are your thoughts, or what's the consensus from your crew of people? Does this feel like it's glorifying bullying, or does it feel like this is just showcasing?
Yeah, like no one was saying anything mean or bullying her, but sometimes just like that atmosphere at the table or on Twitter or whatever, it kind of gets into your head. Like I've had this conversation a lot at tables where I'm telling people like, oh, don't, make fun of people's plays at the table. And they're like, oh, yeah, but they're a pro, they can take it.
So Tom, you seem to have you see it as sort of a dichotomy, how everybody played out or how people were perceived. Do you see this in any way as glorification, or is this more just like a showcase of sort of where the poker community, where a certain portion of the poker community is at this point?
So I feel like the things that are happening online and social media, right, like on Twitter or whatever, those are the same types of things coming from Lynn or Airball or Polk or whoever, where it's like, we're teaching our kids not to do that shit, right? So are you, Sarah, right? That's the stuff that you don't necessarily want to see. But when those types of people who can do that behind the scenes get put in that live environment, you see how they shut down. You see how it's all bullshit. And I think like glorifying it is one thing, especially if it's more like maybe one day there is a manufactured way. We do create some pretty badass WWE storylines. But I think when it comes right down to it, when you take these types of people and you put them in real life, every single time they shut down. And that's just, I think, what happened. And you see people like Berkey who, hey, look, and Berkey's opinionated, right? He's going to throw out his opinion there, but does he attack people? Does he try and like end people via content? No, there's just a different type of opinionation. So glorification, I don't know what the right word is. I think we're going to see a little bit more of it, because I think what you'll see is more people see what Airball is doing and they're going to want to clout chase and they're going to want to make a name for themselves, and they might try it. And it really just comes down to, do the people that they're going after, do they give it the time of day? Because here's the deal. one way or the other, whether they give it the time of the day or not, the people who are on the attack, they're going to be found out. Their personality is going to come out. Their inauthenticity is going to come out, and they're going to get found out. So whether you engage in it or not, or just let it keep going, that's going to happen.
I'm curious, Joey, because you mentioned sort of this merging, right, of Vegas and LA. And I definitely can say there's been lots of opinions, right, about Hustler Casino Live. And it does feel like, and I think maybe I don't personally have this, like, high stakes poker to me doesn't have to have this really classy or glorious image, although I'm sure we can all harken back to the old days. But do you see that basically because of the success of things like Hustler Casino Live and some of the personalities that they've been able to grow, that maybe this is just going to take over most streaming and most games?
It's kind of, I think it's kind of what it's doing. I mean, we got a lot of great points. I'm enjoying the discussion about bullying and about what you just said. I want to go back to the bullying thing real quick, because I've basically been bullied my entire poker career, playing poker online, on the forums, on the tracking sites. There used to be the poker table ratings. I was going through it last night, and just some I had like a screenshot. I was remembering the comments. Those comments section were basically the most bullying, hateful place that you could go to for a lot of the regulars, unless there was like a few regulars who were universally well liked. But most people who are put themselves out there are pretty active, talked about what they did or wrote a blog, generally elicited a lot of hate from a lot of different people, sometimes your peers, sometimes fans, sometimes randoms. And basically making YouTube content is just straight bullying. You get in the comments section from people constantly, some people you know, some people you don't know. You know, if you go on Reddit, it's kind of, you know, what do you ever want to call it, attacking, critical, analysis, people's opinion, whatever, right? So I'm pretty used to it. This is the poker world to me. The poker world is a pretty hateful place for most people. You know, you go on 2+2 right now, every criticism is just negativity. You go out a lot about Reddit, they talk about a player, it's all negativity. You go on Twitter, they're talking about players, a lot of it's negativity. You're in the YouTube chat last night, look at what they're saying about players, a lot of negativity. So I'm just very used to this being the environment. I think it'd be great if this wasn't the environment. It'd be great if people were nicer to everybody. It'd be great if the fans were nicer about the players than they are, but most people just aren't that way. They've never been that way from my recollection of it. And, you know, so I just see it a lot different. So in terms of like, are they glorifying Nik Airball for bullying or for whatever? You know, everybody got a different strategy. Like Josh Arieh said, we see a lot of people come, we see a lot of people go. Everybody get a hot 2 years. You know, people come around a year or 2 or 3. They're playing high stakes. They're making a name. You know, we see these kind of things a lot. So, but now there's, if he can, that's why I told Nik Airball, I said, if you don't go broke, then, you know, you'll probably be around for a long time. So, but if you're playing these super high stakes and you're really calling people out and you go on a downswing and you're really playing all your own money, eventually, right? Eventually you got to run out in theory. And then you get your money and eventually your investor money going to run out in theory, because how are you going to keep funding being able to put on these games and challenge people and call people out? So, you know, we're going to see what happens to Nik Airball, but if I wouldn't consider him like, I guess I don't really think of these people as bullies. I think of these people as like, these are their characters. This is how they choose to use their strategy. Not everybody's going to agree with their strategy. It's like in poker, some people use a strategy that I don't want to play against, but they still use a strategy. I sort of look at the same way with these content creators and people that try to be a personality and try to make a name for themselves. And everyone's going to use a different strategy. And if you can get attention for being crazy, we saw in 2008, 2007, 2009, the rise of those characters on ESPN, the guys that were fucking screaming and yelling and acting crazy, and they were getting endorsement deals, they were getting patches, they were getting talked about. We saw that trend happen, and that trend really only died because of Black Friday and when the money dried up and then the characters dried up. And now there's so much incentive to build a channel, to work with some of these companies to get on a high stakes game, because if you get in a high stakes game, you can basically run the Foog playbook, which is you just represent like you know what you're doing, you represent like you're a winning player, and then it becomes a lot easier to raise money. So if you can get on a show and you can represent yourself, if you have one winning session, you can basically raise money for all your sessions if you know what you're doing. These people in LA, that's the world that they're in. Vegas, that's the world Vegas is. So, you know, I don't think this trend's going anywhere. Hustler is here to stay. They're real trying. They got to be competing, and the ideas are only going to get crazier. The stakes are only going to go up. The personalities are only going to get bigger. And yeah, I don't know. That's my prediction, what I think is going to happen in this specific area of poker content. But there's a lot of poker content out there. There's a lot of vlogs, a lot of streamers. You know, it's not just you guys are talking about this, but the poker world's a lot bigger than just what you see on PokerGo or what you see on Hustler, but most people are just so tricked by the conversation, the marketing, that's what they think everything is going on in poker, when in reality there's a lot of other stuff going on, but you got to talk about it for it to really exist in other people's minds.
Ryan, what would you say?
So with regards to bullying, I think in poker we have this interesting sort of concept where we're supposed to treat the recreational players really, really well. And then it's almost like every professional, regular poker player is just kind of fair game. You can insult them, you can insult their games, as if these people don't have feelings just because they're professional poker players. These people attacking Matt Berkey and, calling out his training site, which, I mean, he built that business from the ground up. It's a part of who he is, right? He's put so much of himself into that. It really matters to him that is a good product. He's trying to provide a great service, and to just tear it down which I mean, both of Doug and Nick Airball did that, and I mean, Doug does that to drive attention to Upswing as being sort of the anti-Solve for Why, like, hey, these guys suck. Come to our training site; it's better. I mean, Berkey, he's been stoic through this whole thing. He's a tough dude, and he looks like he doesn't care at all. But like, we all have feelings, and like, I feel for Berkey. Like, these guys just like coming out of nowhere, just really tearing him down. We're not talking about just like little insults or little jokes or jabs. Like, they're kind of like attacking the core of who he is and what he does. So yeah, for me, that's just such a turnoff. I like, grudge matches and fun, banter. Fine. If people don't like each other for whatever reason and they want to play heads up, I'll roll my eyes, but I'm still going to tune in. Like, I'm interested in it. But for me, there's definitely a line with the bullying, and Nick Airball's crossed it. Doug crosses it sometimes. So yeah, I'm not a fan of that, but it is what it is. It's entertaining, right?
Which is one of my other questions, but I'm curious before we move on, Garry, if you have any thoughts about this sort of glorifying, or is it just showcasing what's really there?
I mean, I tend to agree with Joey's perspective on this one. I think it's hard for me to characterize what we saw with Nick yesterday as bullying per se. I feel like in reality, Nick kind of came onto the poker scene, and I've never met the guy, so I'm only basing all my opinions on what I've seen through live streams. But he came onto the scene in a relatively short time, became a fixture of Hustler Live pretty quickly, and was an entertaining character that developed from that show. I feel like in this case, it felt to me very opportunistic, mixed with being hammered. And that ultimately led to pushing some boundaries that created some unfortunate, circumstances like that. I don't know if you guys stayed tuned in till the very end, but that last hand with Jennifer, like that whole 10 minutes that he was tanking, I just felt uncomfortable. I felt bad for both him and Jennifer the entire time. The first time that he stacked Berkey and sort of like aggressively reached over and took his chips and made some comments, it's just like, okay, these are like, we're crossing lines in real time right now. And the funniest part to me, and I don't know if you guys got a sense for this, but obviously Doug and Matt had their issues with each other leading up to this, but I got the sense that those two watching Nick's antics throughout the night created this weird like understanding between the two of them. It almost seemed like they became more friendly with each other, just realizing, okay, this dude is like legit out of his mind right now. So I don't know, that was kind of my take. I just think more opportunistic and just like hammered out of his mind more than bullying in this case to me.
So you brought something up for us earlier, which I think is a question I'm curious from you guys anyways, which would be, would you, I would say that we're all saying like, would we watch this or not watch this or, whatever, but like everyone was watching it. So like we did.
Can I add something about?
Yeah, please.
So, why did we start watching poker in the first place? We started watching poker around 2003 when there was a ton of emotion, a ton of passion. And no content in 2023 can match the emotion of people that are playing for life-changing money, because the people that make the final tables and the people that make these streams, the emotion isn't there because the life-changing money isn't there. These are all just pros that are not going to risk more because they're smart. They're not going to risk more, and they're not going to win a life-changing amount of money. So poker evolved to a very informational, went from entertaining because of emotion to a very informational stream of content to a niche group. And that is quickly fading away. So this is a good evolution of poker streaming. It's not perfect, but it like I said earlier, it's a great foundation to offer, to revive, the poker streaming and the poker content that you see on TV.
So what I was going to ask you, Faraz, and I'm curious the rest of you also, is, there are, and I think Rob Young even afterwards had said, I hate going on these streams because then you're just giving away all this information. So there is that component of it, of course. But would you say, Faraz, if you had been invited to take Rob Young's seat, would you have played in this game? Like, take money maybe out of it, or take whatever. I'm like, just on its face, would you have been interested in playing in this game?
I don't know about that game particularly, but yeah, I mean, I would be interested in playing in some of these games. But yeah, I usually want to know who's going to be there, that it's going to be some sort of enjoyable atmosphere, that it's going to be a mix of professionals and recreationals. As far as yesterday's stream particularly, I don't know. I don't have any particular interest to have been in that game in particular.
Joey? Would you have played in it?
Play in that game yesterday?
Yeah.
What do you? No,
Yeah.
I don't want to be in that. I don't want to be in that. Dude, those guys were going crazy. I mean, listen, who knows what's going on? Nothing's what it seems, guys. Everybody got to remember that,
Yeah.
Like, I'm out here, I'm around all these people. I went out to dinner with Doug, Airball, JRB, Lynn, Brown Ball was there. I'm training one of my new guys, so I'm taking him everywhere with me. I'm saying, meet everybody in poker. Form your own opinion. He's a 1 week in, so he got a very different perspective about Nik Airball than you guys do. I'll tell you that. So he loved Nik Airball. He said he's the nicest guy. He said, Nik Airball, man, he's so nice. He's one of the nicest guys I met. He nicer than these other guys I've been meeting. I said, not many people agree with you, buddy, but I see where you're coming from. So yeah, I mean, would I want to play in the game? I maybe would have liked to be like a host of the game, maybe, bringing out some of the camera, maybe helping to control the game, right? I've been working on more of these shows, and I feel like there's a lot of elements missing from what a live poker game is. Everybody's running the same playbook. I'm looking to invest in all new ideas, right? Somebody brings something new to the game, bring something new to the table, bring a different perspective, bring a different way you're creating the content for poker for these shows, because I think there is a huge market of fans who want to watch poker, want to watch games, want to watch hands, want to watch streams, and it don't got to be the same people. It doesn't have to be the same playbook that we've been doing for a long time, the way the game operates, the way everybody interacts, the way the dealer interacts, the way the commentators interact, the hosting, the marketing. So I just think, it's a great time right now. There's a lot of people starting new ideas and stuff like that. And but no, would I want to play in that game? Man, I don't think so. No, man.
Tom, would you want to play in it?
Yeah, if you take out a zero from the small blind and the big blind, I'll play in that game, but not at those stakes. Look, I think the thing is like, it all depends on what your stage is in poker, right? And what your motivations are in poker. So that type of game, someone like Faraz and Josh, I don't know what your answer is, or someone like Josh, who is much more mature in their career, have already had a ton of success, they might feel like, man, it's a waste of time for me to play in that game, right? Whereas if you look at some of the up and comers, right, who are trying to make a name for themselves, who are on an upswing and really trying to grind, they might look at it and say, hell yeah, I want to be in that game because I feel like I can beat it and I would love the exposure. So I feel like it's really like dependent upon what your poker goals are as a player, part-time or professionally. But I'd love to hear Josh's answer to this, actually.
I would have taken the invitation and I would have thought that I wanted to play, but an hour in, when everybody's talking over each other and you can't get a word in, and it's like I would have made some little comment making fun of somebody, and it wouldn't have gone by, and I'm just not going to sit there and yell over everybody the whole time. And I would have ended up looking like JRB did, just like he looked miserable, because JRB is a super witty guy. Like JRB, the shit that comes out of me and JRB and I have battled a lot playing pool, and he's brutal. Like his needles are brutal. And last night he just couldn't get a word in. And I feel like I would have been in the same situation, and I would have ended up quitting just because I would have been miserable. But I would have taken the invitation.
You wouldn't
for
have
sure.
quit, Josh. Take it easy.
No, Josh, come on, Josh. You wouldn't have
1,000%
quit.
I would have quit, man.
You never quit again. Come on. You're like the biggest.
Joey,
You're the sickest grinder. You're not going to walk out that game. Come on.
Listening to Lynn cackle at every time that Nik opened his mouth got disgusting.
She's a 25-year-old millionaire. She's living a good life, Josh. I've got a lot to laugh about, too, if I was living that good a life. Traveling around the world, living at the beach.
Everything's funny.
Eating great dinners, high-stakes poker. Man, I'm laughing about everything.
But I can also choose to not listen to it. I mean, you're right. They have a lot to laugh about. When I was 25 years old, I was grinding 10-20 limit poker and, trying to raise $3,000 a month in bills. But I understand that everything's funny to them, but I can also choose to not listen to it if I don't want to.
Definitely.
What I was going to say in terms of Josh's part, think about it, though. What he was talking about, JRB got it. Think about Person. Most of the time, Person is like the villain at the table, right? And he was probably like the fourth least likable person at the table last night. So think about that dynamic where he almost couldn't get a word in, right? So Josh, I hear what you're saying about, Balan, but also think about that from a Person standpoint.
Yeah. Doug wasn't annoying to me at all. And I think that, Doug pushes the envelope all over all the time, has literally no heart when it comes to trying to earn clicks. But last night, Doug came across really well. Doug is well-spoken, he's looking good. And it was just like, it was mainly Lynn and Nik, the back, It's like, you guys go get a room. It was really, those two made it really bad.
Do you guys does anyone in this group play in these private games?
I have a really bad taste.
Like a long time ago, but not in the last decade, really.
Yeah, I'm the same as Faraz. I 10 years ago, LA Poker left a really ugly taste in my mouth, and I'm just not interested in. I live a comfortable life. I'm not interested in playing that high anymore.
Okay, but so you just said it again. So you're like, oh, that LA life left it in me. And this is Joey, one of the things that keeps sticking with me about what you said. Is poker becoming LA? Is that what's happening?
No, definitely not. LA poker is LA poker, right? If you're for a home games, right, you got to protect yourself. You don't.
Yeah, Joey knows what I'm talking
not what
about.
It seems, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
You got to be willing to go to places. You got to work with certain people. You got to set up deals a certain way when you're working in some of these games in terms of who you're bringing to the game. And, it really, a private game, it's structured a lot of different ways. And it's really never it's never what I thought it was. When I'm a fan of poker coming up and I'm seeing these private games and you're hearing about the underground games, you glorify them one way, but it really is nothing like what you think it is when you get into it. And,
the good
really
games,
pick the right game. You got to pick the right host. You got to make sure nothing's going on. It's so easy to be doing.
Right. And the good games are very political, and then the games you can get in, you're probably getting cheated. And I'm not saying that about the live streams. I'm sure the live streams are all on the up and up, but
I'm sure.
Well, but I'm just saying, with my experience 10 years ago in LA was pretty rough.
So do you see a correlation, though, between the way that the way that streams are happening and the way that these private games were set up, that it is so political? And
No, but what I do see is, it's very different. Live home game poker, which I've grown up in Atlanta, and casino poker are very different. And you have to entertain. You have to be fun. You don't sit there and squeeze and try to earn and play every single street perfect. There's technical EV, and then there's life EV, and there's entertaining. Like the people that feed the games, they want to have fun. And you can't have fun playing exactly what a computer tells you to do. And this is what's always happened. There's rounds of shots at home games, and there's waitresses in scandalous outfits. And it's more of a, from what I remember, the LA scene was like more of a party atmosphere, and this is the PG version of LA home games, and they're making streams out of it. They can't film the R version.
I don't know if you guys want to continue on after my spawn gets home, but I do want to get in at least one more question before this happens, which is, do you think that this is more than likely the future of the streams we're going to be seeing? Garry?
I think so. Like I said in the beginning, I think PokerGo's ability to facilitate this on short notice, capitalizing on the most current, relevant, intriguing drama that existed in the industry and bringing it to life and serving it up on a silver platter to us, I feel like is a model for success. I think there will always be differing disputes and beefs between people, and I think the model makes a lot of sense, and people were watching, and we're all talking about it today. So I do see things heading in that direction and continuing that way.
Josh?
Absolutely. I mean, if you look on Netflix, every show, you're just watching Love is Blind, hoping that there's a train wreck, and you hope that two people fist fight. I mean, this is entertainment today. And maybe take the high stakes poker name off of it and call it the Royal Rumble or something. But it's another product, and you're going to get more casual viewers that don't want to sit there and watch watch Andrew Roble make the perfect decision or the perfect laydown. It's more about entertainment than it is the structure and the GTO-ness and, I don't know, the perfectness of playing great no limit poker.
Ryan, you think it's here to stay?
I think it's here to stay, but I don't think it's the future of poker streaming. I think it's a part of it. And it'll be hit or miss. And, I'll prefer it when people don't cross certain lines and without the awkward laughing at everything. And maybe this one just missed and the next one is amazing. But there's always going to be the WSOP streaming, all these, the high roller tournament like series that they have, all the the PokerGo Cup and US Poker, that's all here to stay as well. So I mean, it's I made the comparison to just different genres of film. Some people like comedy, some people like drama, some people like both. And I think we're gonna have all of it. And if it brings new people to the game, then it's ultimately good for the game. Whether it makes poker players look bad or not, that's up to you to decide. But does that really matter? I mean, I see things sometimes and I think, oh, that's so cringe, and I don't want my non-poker family and friends to see that and think, oh, that's what I do. But in the end, who cares? We can have every bit of the spectrum as far as what kind of poker can be streamed, and the market will deem what it likes best, and I think we'll continue to have all of it. I just hope PokerGo keeps it up. I love what they're doing. They I as much as I couldn't stand the stream last night, I love their idea. I love that they went with it. Brent and Nick are amazing, and I'll keep tuning in. If you have a similar lineup tomorrow, I'm gonna roll my eyes. I'll probably tell people I won't watch it. If it starts at 3, I'll have it up at 2:59.
I was thinking something quite similar because Faraz, this is one of the things you said in the very beginning part was you said, who's watching this? And then I was like, well, we all are. Like, let's be real. But do you think that this is probably what the future of a lot of stream cash looks like for us?
Yeah, you know, at the end of the day, I think like we have to look at the numbers, and if people are watching it, people are watching it, and who are we to say that it shouldn't be on TV? That said, if there are a lot of people vocally saying they don't like this, I think that should just be an opportunity to someone else to come and say, "Hey, I want to run a competing product that offers something different." You know, Josh was talking about, you know, the GTO play and all that type of stuff. I think there can be two different forms of entertainment. You could make another show that's entertaining where people are just having witty banter back and forth, and it's maybe a little more tasteful or whatever.
Faraz, are you pitching to Joey right now? Are you pitching the next?
I'm investing in all ideas.
I'm pitching to whoever out there is a producer, and you know, look at what all these people are saying who didn't like it, and that's an opportunity for you. At the same time, a ton of people are watching this current show, so I don't think that necessarily needs to go anywhere. It's not for me, it's not for a ton of people, but it also is for a lot of people. So experiments are good. Poker is growing right now, and there's a ton of new people coming in, and we don't know exactly like what they want to see, and we're going to learn through experimentation.
Joey, is Hustler the future of high stakes poker?
Is Hustler the future of high stakes? I mean, listen, there's a lot of new shows coming, so I would say that, you know, I'm getting pitched all the time for these ideas for do an event, do a show, we're building a hotel, we're trying to get in this casino. I mean, one of the strip casinos, they're building a stream right now, right? But a lot of these corporations move pretty slow. There's a couple streams coming to Vegas. There's more new streams down in Texas. There's streams popping up all the time in these random states, Ohio, Kentucky. Like every state got more streams. So I think that the landscape is still pretty immature right now, and we're trying to figure out what it is. You know, that lineup, maybe that lineup just could have been different, could have been tweaked a little bit. I think maybe an addition or a subtraction, maybe less players in the game, and everyone's perception is a bit different about it. And, you know, just didn't seem like it worked for some people out there. People are upset about it. They didn't want to see it. They voiced their opinion. And I think that's fine to sometimes not like some of the content that's going on out there. You know, I just kind of take I take what's given to me, and from when I'm following poker, you know, I'm just like, what are people talking about? What's going on in Vegas? What's going on in LA? And there really isn't anything else going on. You know, it's like poker's pretty boring. It's kind of gets boring. You've been doing it. I've been doing this now for 17 years, right? So it get a little boring to see the same thing all the time. So I like a little bit of variety, a little bit of spice. You know, it takes me this way, it takes me that way. You never know where it's going to take you. You never know who it's going to be. But, you know, like I said, we've seen a lot of characters come. We've seen a lot of trends happen. Some come, some go. And, you know, just another day in the office, really. So I'm Hustler the future, Sarah. They're trying to be. So will they win? We'll find out.
As a viewer, my perception also of the value of money has changed so much because of my understanding of most people not having themselves or whatever, right? Like when I was watching high stakes poker, I was like, this is so much money. I can't believe they're playing with this much money right now. What's going on? And then now I'm like, oh gosh, if it's not like $1 million event, does anyone even care? Like, do you think as viewers too, we're so like jaded because we've just seen so much and such like ridiculous games at this point? Do we even care about money anymore?
It's just hard because, you know, everybody just pieces themselves out, and, you know, anybody can play any game because they have a network of friends, and I'm not downing that. I do the same thing. And, you know, but
if entertainment fundamentally, right, comes down to emotion for most people, it's like we've eliminated this emotional connection to the money. So now we have to find the emotion somewhere else, right, which is like in the drama, probably. Brian, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen everything, right? We've seen the biggest cash games. So nothing is new to us anymore. I would love to see, you know, some of these, like I've heard crazy stories about games in Macau and all over Asia with the chairman and all these. I've heard stories of Tom Dwan swinging tens of millions. If we were somehow to be able to get those games on stream, I think that would kind of bring back that emotion that, wow, they're really playing for all this money, and most of these players are playing on their own dime. But yeah, I think the games that I think like Josh said, everybody knows that people are selling so much action, so the money is just kind of desensitized. We never know if this $1 million pot is really $1 million pot. But there's definitely still some players who do play with at least most of their own money, and they kind of have that old school feel. I think of like Tom Dwan and Andrew Roble, to name a couple. There's plenty more. I mean, I would love to see PokerGo get those kind of players together for a stream. Sure, add some drama, but someone like, whether it's someone like Nick Airball or whatever, but someone who's rich and is playing all on their own money. If you had a game that kind of touted that, like a no selling action game where everybody said, hey, we're all playing for our own money and we're playing high stakes, like there's still some people that are willing to risk a decent chunk of their net worth in a game, which I mean is a terrible decision, right? It's not a smart decision. As poker players, we've all learned not to do that, but we also love seeing when it happens, right? That's what's fun for people.
Love that idea, Ryan.
I was gonna say, I hope Joey's keeping track right now.
Well, I definitely wrote that idea down. That's a banger right there. I mean, a game I want to do a game where two players got to show me their bank account. They got no money in it and they play for 10K. I think that would be better content. Like that would be content people would love. Like, oh, a guy's life really changed. He's crying. He got emotion. I think Ryan bro, that's a great idea. Everyone got to agree. They buy in their own action. Everyone plays their own money, because obviously that's a huge critique of poker. That's a big trending conversation, maybe for another time. But.
So you're thinking of like the poker version of bum fights, basically. Get two homeless guys off the street.
No. I would say two great family men or family women, and they got a great story, but for whatever reason, they're struggling right now, and they get to come out, have a showdown, and one guy walks away with 10,000, the other guy walks away with nothing, and
I can feel
emotion,
it.
right? It's brutal. I'm not saying it isn't, but
that's what we want to see. We want to see brutal.
Well, I so appreciate you guys taking the time. This is exactly the kind of conversation that I live for. It's so great to get so many intelligent people with all of their views out there, and I hope we can do it again, and that we can tune in when Joey and Ryan produce whatever this next upcoming show is. Please let us know how we can hype for you guys. Thank you guys so much. Deuces.